Today on Tech Fabricators, we're going to be replicating a Farm Chief Planner Monitor module. Essentially, this is a planner monitor that allows you to use your Android smartphone or tablet as a display to show your population. It connects directly to a seed sensor harness, provides the power, and then via Bluetooth sends the information to your tablet or phone. Now how this works is Farm Chief licenses the schematics, so you can get on our website. For $20 you can download the schematics and build your own. Schematics come with a part list, so you can find most of the components that you're looking for. You can either pick them out yourself or you can use the ones that they recommend to build a planner monitor. Now this is neat. Most farmers are engineers at heart. They're always working on things, tweaking things, building things, fabricating. So this project is a lot of fun for the farmer, and it has a lot of application. Anymore, when you buy components and whatnot, when it breaks, a lot of times you're waiting for days and days on end to find someone with the tech know-how to fix it. But with a build-it-yourself kit, you know exactly what's going on, you know how it's set up, and you can fix it yourself. And another advantage I like about these schematics and this kit is I built this entire planner monitor for about 250 bucks, and I use my own tablet. I can save my data. It's a great way to manage things. In this build guide today, I'm just going to show you some of the parts that I purchased using the schematic recommendations, and then part 2 of the video we're actually going to show it being used on an old 7100 John Deere planner. This particular setup I'm going to build is going to use 8 rows. I'm going to use a regular 37 pin connector. I recommend picking up a few tools to make this build a little bit easier. For one, the Sensor Test Plus by Vanguard is a great way to see if some of your older sensors, row unit sensors, are working correctly. This is a great tool, especially when you're out and you might have some problem diagnosing some problems with your wiring or whatnot. But basically, you can just go back to your row unit and plug this in to see if your sensors are working correctly. I bought this online from Shoop. It's pretty inexpensive and it's a great tool. It just takes a simple 9-volt battery, if I remember right. Easy to use. Another thing you may want to use when diagnosing electrical issues, especially when you're building these circuits for the first time, is just a simple oscilloscope. This is a pocket version. Now you might have a more expensive version to mount on your desk or whatnot, but this is just a simple pocket oscilloscope you can get for usually less than $100 on the internet. It has pretty decent leads. It's actually, looks to me like it's built out of an old MP3 player, but whatever works. But this seems to work great with showing our different pulses and whatnot, and making sure the frequencies are matching up with what we're actually seeing on the planner monitor as our seeds drop through the seed tubes. Some other equipment that you may want to get is if you're not very good at soldering, you may want to practice a little bit before you start this project, because on some of these circuits, and especially on a yo-yo board, some of the components are kind of close together, so you do not want to be globbing your solder and making it run over, either shorting out components or having some things that are hard to diagnose, especially when you got current going in places where it shouldn't go. So again, you might want to practice up on your soldering skills. Get a soldering iron tip that you are comfortable working with and the right size solder. I won't go into a discussion on all the different kinds of soldering irons out there, because, well, everybody's got their opinion on what they like the best. So, for one, in the comments below, you might want to post what your favorite solder is, or maybe even a link to that soldering iron that you prefer. But again, the biggest tools is you might want to have a multimeter, a simple pocket digital oscilloscope, or even a full-size oscilloscope will be fine. And if you're using some older sensors you dug out of the cabinet or whatnot, or even the ones on your current planner, you might want to get one of these Sensor Test Pluses from Vanguard. Again, it's a great product. You can find this on Shoop, and probably some other places online. This is a yo-yo board. If you're searching for it, it's spelled IOIO, but it's commonly called a yo-yo board. With this, you can communicate with Android devices. It has digital and analog input and output channels, so you can use this thing to do all kinds of things like build robots, use the Android capabilities to switch on lights, build circuits, switches, all kinds of things you can do remotely with this board. Again, it has all these digital and analog input channels all the way around it, and also output. It has USB connectivity, as you can see, the micro USB connector at the bottom of the board. In this particular build, we're using just a simple micro USB to USB adapter with a Bluetooth dongle, and with that we can communicate wirelessly to an Android device. These boards are open source. The schematics are available online, but it's probably just easier to go buy one of these boards already assembled. You can get them for less than $50 on SparkFun or on Amazon. In this particular situation here, we're going to be using this board as the receiver for pulse counting. As the seeds drop through the seed tubes, we're going to create a pulse with one of our circuits connected to this board, and with those pulses we're going to count them to figure out in the end what our population is as we're planning. Now, these boards are pretty responsive. They're built pretty well, and they're pretty cheap, so they make a very good alternative to some of the other kind of robotics control boards you see out there on the market at the moment. Now, again, these are open source. They're supported by a gentleman named YTai, is his handle on GitHub, but their community and forum is very friendly, and it can really help you get these things set up if you have any problems or issues and you're wanting to develop some circuits with these boards. Next, we'll look at a method to connect the yo-yo board to our planner monitor harness. Now, this is just a regular harness, maybe a 37 pin or whatever you're using. Now, this particular yo-yo board by itself can only do 9 input channels, so the maximum number of rows you're going to be able to monitor is 9. In this case, I'm going to use 2 of these LM324s, as you can see here, op amps. Each one of these op amps has 4 op amps built into it, so 2 of these and you're good for 8-row planner. The circuit in the schematics just has a few resistors, a couple diodes, and make sure your pull down from your board doesn't mess up the feedback from the op amp to the yo-yo board. But it's a simple circuit. If you're not very good at soldering, it might take you a little bit longer to put together, but it's pretty simple. Again, those are LM324 op amps. Again, each one of them has 4 op amps built in, so you just need 2 of them for this project. Now, if you're building a planner monitor for more rows than that, you might want to consider a different choice of op amp. And then for the yo-yo board, which only has 9 pulse counting input channels, you may want to look at linking multiple yo-yo boards together. This can be done even with Bluetooth. We'll also need some type of enclosure to put all this in. Now, if you're going to be mounting this inside the tractor or even outside the tractor, you're going to need something that's fairly durable and even waterproof. I selected the Polycase series of cases. You can find these online at polycase.com, but they have different ratings. This particular model, I can't remember exactly what water rating it is, but it's good for constant water blast and even rain shower. Now, this is something that you will not want to submerge, but works pretty well in this application. Some other things we can look at, accessories to go with this. We'll want to make sure we pick up a good set of waterproof cable glands That way we can run our harness into our monitor module without any water entering into the system if it does get wet. Now you'll need two of these, one for your 12 volt input, and you'll also need one for these 37 pin connector. As you can see with this one that's already assembled. Some other things that will go with this. On the internals, you're going to need something some type of voltage regulator or something to step down your 12 volt to 5 volt to make it appropriate for the yo-yo board. I found this on Amazon. That's just a 12 volt to 5 volt converter for, I don't know, it was like $5. You also want some type of switch. I found these on SparkFun for fairly cheap. They even illuminate. This is a latching switch. Don't get a non-latching switch. But as you can see, you can just mount this in the corner. Make sure you get one with an O-ring if you want to keep the water out. Now, the actual Farm Chief monitor module, the ones that were produced by PlannerMonitor.com, had these twist set screws on the top. Now you could set these so that you could switch your planner monitor between different wired harnesses, such as if you have John Deere or Vanguard, just depending on the setup and configuration of the pins in the harness. Now this harness on this particular model, it looks like it's built pretty well. I have a very similar one I use on my setup. I got from Shoop Equipment. Now this harness is probably the most expensive part of the entire setup. I think these cables are around $100 the last time I bought one. So in total, it'd probably be the most significant portion of the project if you were just buying parts straight out. Now, again, this is a 37 pin connector. If you're using only 8 rows, you're not going to have near that many pins in your setup. And you could probably make one of these cords for a lot less, especially if you're going to mass produce this. But if you're just going to buy one with the pins already in it, these are going to cost you probably around $100, if not more, if I remember right. But for the rest of the project, most of the components are fairly cheap. Now we'll look at how to mount the yo-yo board to the enclosure. This yo-yo board, and also the board we use for the op amp, just has a regular standoff hole, so you can get these adhesive standoffs online for your prototype. They actually work pretty well. I've actually been using these for a while, and they hold on pretty well. If you're looking for a little bit more secure mounting system, you can just use a regular PC motherboard standoff. You can get a kit like this online for less than $10. I found this one on Amazon actually for I think about $8, and it comes with all kinds of different size screws and fittings and whatnot for mounting things. I use this when I build PCs, but these standoffs will work just as well. Like this video if you want to see some more farm related tech videos. Also, please put in the comments what kind of farm tech that you'd like to see us build. Please check out the second part of this video that's coming up soon. That'll show this monitor we built in action on a 7100 John Deere planner.